Hi guys, welcome back to another fragrance video on my channel and thanks so much for tuning in again. Now in today's video I want to talk about my personal top 10 fragrances by the house of Dior from their Privée line. So they're higher priced fragrances. These are higher priced designer type fragrances. So they are technically not niche since Dior is a designer. So that's the definition right there. But they get pretty close to niche fragrances because they are of a very good quality, and I think Dior has had some really nice releases, and in today's video I want to give you my personal top 10. Now I have to say that I tried to give it a very balanced feel, so I tried to get like several different fragrances into this list, and this is important because some fragrances by Dior, for example their rose and oud combinations, tend to be very similar, and I chose one of these and not like all three of them, although I could have, in order to give you like more variation in terms of what kind of fragrances are on here. So the first fragrance, place number 10 in my opinion, is Spice Blend. Now this is a fragrance that is very similar to Spice Bomb by Viktor and Rolf, but in an upscale and very nice kind of fragrance composition. In terms of fragrance notes, we have cinnamon, we have rum, and that's pretty much everything there is. So it's a very spicy, cinnamony type fragrance with a lot of rum in the base. So it's kind of alcoholic and boozy and with spices, and a very nice fragrance with a pretty good performance. So longevity is between 6 to 8 hours. Whoa, now it gets really bright. I'll have to adjust the color correction on there. Spice Blend is definitely a must try for me, especially if you like Spice Bomb by Viktor and Rolf. Make sure to try it out. Next up, on place number 9, we have Granville, which is a fragrance that is linked to the Dior history, I believe, because Granville is actually a city in France. And it's a very light citrus and cologne type fragrance. So in the top, mid and base we have mandarin and citrus in the top notes. In the heart we have pine, rosemary and thyme. In the base we have sandalwood as well as black pepper. And in my opinion this is, like as I said, a very cologne type fragrance. So if you are looking for a summery fragrance that is just fresh, just a very nice refreshment with a kind of oriental dry down, because the sandalwood is pretty prominent in here, then you should definitely try Granville. It is, however, their weakest scent of this top 10 list. Being a cologne, this is just not very strong, and that's something you should definitely know. Place number 8, I chose Unoi, which means black water, and it's their take on fougere fragrances. So it's a barbershop-y type fragrance. It's kind of a minty concoction. So if you know the likes of Yves Saint Laurent Rive Gauche, for example, that's like a fragrance I would compare this to. And if you are into barbershop-y type fragrances, then I think Unoi is one of the best you can try, because it's like also really very upscale. On place number 7, I chose Balzacovage, which is not comparable to Sauvage by Dior or even Eau Sauvage by Dior. Now this is a fig fragrance, and it's a very naturally smelling fig. I think fig is a very crazy fragrance note because it's super unique, and you definitely recognize it like from the get-go, and there are not many fragrances that work with fig, so this is a really nice one, also with a very nice performance, and it has kind of a watery note as well. So you might expect this to have a woodsy dry down or something and be kind of rounded, but it's more of a fig fragrance with some watery type notes and with some salty notes also as well. So really very nice, reminds me of the coast, and it's just a perfect summery scent for me. Balzacovage by Dior. Now on place number 6, I chose one of their absolute top sellers, which is Badajo. Now this is technically, I believe, an iris fragrance, so it's really quite oriental and powdery, and to me this smells absolutely like drying wood. So if you imagine like a piece of wood, you're walking through the forest, the rain is practically gone and the sun hits the still damp wood, and you smell this intense woodsiness. that's what I would describe Badajo as, or alternatively, if you are going to a Finnish sauna, you might know this as well, because that's like really the scent you get when you are in a sauna, so a very hot and woodsy place. I think that the performance of Badajo is like not 10 out of 10, it's more of a 6 or 7, but the fragrance DNA is so classy and just so memorable that it's still one of their top sellers, and I absolutely love this fragrance as well. So it's on place number 6. On place number 5 I chose Cuir Ganache, which is a leathery fragrance with a gourmand twist. So very, very funny and crazy fragrance DNA in my opinion, because it's a leathery fragrance but still with a gourmand type note, so with a sweet and dessert-like note that it has. And it's one of the best leathery fragrances I know personally. And if you want to see a top 10 leather fragrances list, please let me know in the comment section down below. It is still very light, however, so not like super beast mode performance leather. It's just a very light and nice and easy to wear leather fragrance. On place number 4, I chose Santal Noir, which is one of their rose oud fragrances. Now it says Santal, which technically means sandalwood, but in my opinion it's more of a rose oud combination. Now there are a couple of rose oud fragrances by the house of DIOR, and I personally like this one the most because I believe it's also their most recent release. I'll correct myself on screen if I'm wrong, but I believe it's their most recent release, and it's just such a nice soft rose oud fragrance that also has a really very oriental kick. And it's just the perfect rose oud combo if you want to get into this kind of fragrances. So if you're a beginner and you haven't tried too many oriental fragrances yet, this is one I would recommend for you to try. And it's just a very nice rose oud fragrance with a decent performance. Next up we have Leatherwood. Now this is the complete opposite, because Leatherwood to me is a super animalic leathery fragrance with some oudi touches. So it smells really like a horse's saddle, so really leathery and has kind of a barnyard note to it, or maybe even an old church, old incense type of note to it, incensey smoke type of note to it. But honestly guys, to me this is their best oud fragrance. So they have a couple of oud fragrances, and I think this one is so unique and so great. Unfortunately it has been discontinued like a year ago or something, so but still it's like a really awesome oud fragrance in my opinion. It also has a beast mode performance, so this will last like from morning to evening. So if you like oriental fragrances, if you like animalic fragrances, then this is definitely something for you to try. On place number 2 I also chose a pretty animalic one, and this is Ombre Nuit. I believe this is also one of their most favorite fragrances, at least if I look at the fragrance community overseas. People seem to love this fragrance, and it's also one of my favorites from the house. It's a super awesome amber fragrance, like very resinous and sweet, but also has a very animalic note to it. So it's also pretty oriental for a Western house. And I absolutely love this. It has a great performance. You can wear this to a whole lot of different occasions. However, I think its primary use is for a night out. And it's also a great event type of fragrance. So if you are on an event sometime in the future when this whole Corona thing is gone, then this is a fragrance I would recommend for you to try. And on place number 1, I chose the all-star Fave Delicieuse. This is a super unisex tonka bean fragrance. So Fave means bean, and since tonka beans are very delicious, this is the way how they developed the fragrance's name. It's one of their most puristic fragrances, so it's really very much like tonka bean. And if you know, for example, Guerlain's Tonka Imperial, that's a fragrance I would compare this to, but of course by the house of DIOR, which has a different fragrance DNA to it and a different like signature, I would say. But still it's a very pure tonka bean fragrance, really very sweet. So if you don't like sweet fragrances that are very perfumey, then this will not be your fragrance of choice. But in my opinion, it's just awesome, and it's also a perfectly unisex scent. So Fave Delicieux by Dior is really my favorite fragrance of the house. But anyways, guys, that's about it with my top 10 video of Dior. Please make sure to leave your fragrance recommendation by the house of Dior in the comment section down below. I'm super excited to read about your recommendations because honestly, I feel that the house hasn't released too many good fragrances lately. Do you think differently? Please let me know in the comment section down below. Leave a thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe to this channel if you want to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching and bye bye.